Now we're going to start Chapter 4 of Carl Hiaasen's Skink, No Surrender. Enjoy. The police launched an all-out search for Mally, and for the next several days my hopes jumped every time the phone rang. There were clues to follow, but no red-hot trail. On the night she pretended to fly to New Hampshire, surveillance cameras at the Orlando airport showed her stepping out of her mom's car at the curb on the departure level. She was wearing black jeans, flip-flops, and a gray hoodie. She had a red travel bag on rollers and her backpack. After waving goodbye to Sandy, she entered the terminal building. 11 minutes later, a camera on the arrivals ramp, one level down, caught Mally hurrying through the exit doors and sliding into a white two-door Toyota. The driver was a man, though he didn't make a move to help my cousin with her luggage. He just popped the trunk and sat there. It was hard to see what he looked like because he wore a raised baseball cap pulled snug to his brow, a cheap blonde wig, and Oakley-style shades. The video was grainy, and the lighting at the airport curb was poor. Luckily, another camera at the expressway entrance got a photo of the Toyota driving away. Crime technicians enlarged the image to read the license plate, which was from Texas. Unfortunately, the plate had been stolen from an Avis rental car at the airport drop-off lot. Not a good sign. My mother looked grim when she told me that part. Uncle Dan and Aunt Sandy were frantic. Nobody wants their daughter driving around with some loser who ripped off a license tag. That meant the Toyota was likely stolen too. In other words, my cousin was traveling with a criminal. I got to see one of the video clips from the airport when a detective came to our house. He wanted to know if I recognized the man driving the Toyota, and truthfully I said no. With his Mariah Carey wig and sunglasses, the guy behind the wheel was totally disguised. All you could make out was a regular-looking nose and thin lips. His jaw was set, and he wore no expression whatsoever. Mally was another story. On the video, she was grinning. They put out a highway Amber Alert featuring her lame school photo, which I knew would make her furious. The TV stations in Orlando, Daytona Beach, and even Tampa broadcast the story, showing a factory picture of a Toyota similar to the one Mally's online boyfriend was driving. They also gave out the number on the Texas license plate, but Mom said the guy had probably already switched it. Swiped a different tag from somebody else's car, my mother said, or maybe even swiped another car. Using the pings from cell phone towers, the police were able to trace Mally's phone from downtown Orlando, from where she texted me on the night she was supposed to be at the beach, all the way to Clearwater, from where she called me and Beth the next day. After that, Mally's phone had either been turned off or broken, leaving the police no way to track her movements. The detective who came to speak with me was named Trujillo. He was short and muscular with a thick black mustache. I'd seen him around town before, and it turned out he was a surfer and knew my brothers. "Why did Mally run away?" he asked. "I don't know. Maybe she had an argument with her mom and dad." Mr. and Mrs. Spence say no. They said everything was good. She was okay with boarding school was their impression. Then it was him, I said. The fake Talbot chalk. He must have talked her into it. Trujillo had a small notebook flipped open in one hand. "Did Mally have any boyfriends here in town?" "No. She thought all the guys at school were dorks and posers." I told the detective what little Mally had said about her dashing Talbot. "And she never mentioned how old he was, what he looked like?" "Nope." I regretted that I hadn't asked her more than once. "Richard, would you say your cousin was a stable person?" "She's not wacko crazy, but she's definitely a rebel." Trujillo said he'd already interviewed Beth, and she knew even less than I did. He said Mally had warned Beth to keep quiet about her running away, or else she'd tell Beth's boyfriend that Beth liked somebody else, which I knew happened to be true. Beth liked me. "Richard, did Mally threaten to get you in trouble in some way if you told her parents what really happened?" "No, sir," I lied. "If she calls again, I'd like you to keep a log. Time, date, exactly what she says, everything you can think of, even if it doesn't seem important. I'll give you a notebook like mine. The text you can save on your phone, all right?" "Sure." I'd already deleted the ones from Mally about St. Augustine. Trujillo handed me a notebook and a blue Bic pen. I asked how they were going to find the true identity of the guy pretending to be Talbot Chalk. The detective speculated that the perpetrator was from Fort Walton Beach area and that he must have seen the newspaper and TV reports about the real Talbot Chalk's death. Otherwise, where would he have come up with the name? Trujillo thought it was even possible that the man might have some personal connection to the young Marine. State investigators are up in the Panhandle now, he said, interviewing Corporal Chalk's friends and family members. What if Mally doesn't call me, I asked, or call anybody? Well, Trujillo was pondering how to phrase it. That could mean something bad has happened, he said. Or it could mean she just doesn't want to be found yet. I'd been carrying my cell 24/7, even when I went into the bathroom. There hadn't been a peep from Mally since she'd called from that blocked number and ordered me to wait a week before telling her family the whole story. By now, she definitely knew that I hadn't even waited one whole day. It was all over Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course the television stations. I'd figured she'd phone just to yell at me, or at least call my mother to drop the St. Augustine bomb. The dead silence wasn't like Mally, not her style. Aunt Sandy and Uncle Dan were constantly checking in, asking if I'd heard anything from her. I felt really bad for them. Sometimes Sandy would be crying, which would make me choke up too. After that first week had passed, I wondered if Mally had gotten where she was planning to go. I hoped she had. I hoped she was the one in control. The Amber Alert remained in place, but the story started fading from the news. A little boy in Wellington had gone missing, snatched from kindergarten by his stepfather. The missing boy was sick and needed special medicine, so his case was now getting all the media attention. Meanwhile, Mom and Dan offered a $10,000 reward and chipped in for 6 highway billboards that displayed Mally's photograph and an 800 number for tips. In the blown-up version of my cousin's class picture, her hair was red, although in person you would call it cinnamon, and the light freckles on her nose looked as bright as a rash. She wasn't wearing her regular smile because of her braces, which she complained had made her look like a constipated squirrel. Still, anybody who spotted Mally Spence would have recognized her from the billboard. Several calls came in from people who thought they'd seen her, but the sightings were scattered from one end of Florida to the other. Investigators chased down every lead that wasn't too flaky, but came up empty-handed. One caller claimed to have witnessed my cousin arguing with a husky-tattooed man at a certain movie theater in Sarasota. He said Mally was struggling with the man and trying to pull free. Slight problem. The movie house had been torn down 6 months ago to make way for a Target. The cops threw the scumbag in jail after he admitted making up the whole story just to get a cut of the reward money. Pathetic, but true. The waiting made me feel helpless and hollow. Sometimes I'd dial Mally's number, hoping she'd turned on her cell, but it never rang once. Straight to voicemail, Mally in that weak British accent. For all we knew, her phone could be at the bottom of a canal. I was spending a lot of time on the internet. Too much time, honestly. I'd bookmarked the website of every major newspaper in Florida, and each morning I'd scroll through a bunch of them, checking out the crime stories. My stomach would pitch upside down every time I saw this headline: Unidentified body found. So far, there have been 3 different bodies, but all of them were middle-aged men. One guy got hit by a train on the FEC tracks in Jacksonville. Another they found floating in Lake Okeechobee, probably a drowned fisherman who'd left his ID in his truck. The third was just an old pile of bones that a hunting dog dug up in the Everglades. Mom said Miami drug dealers used to bury lots of bodies out there. Don't keep reading that stuff, she said. You'll get nightmares. I don't know why she hasn't called. Your cousin loves the drama, Richard, always has. True. I'll bet she shows up any day now with either a tan or a tattoo. No doubt about it, said Trent. He was on the couch eating a pasta salad. All the commotion about Mally's disappearance had sort of put him on the sidelines, since he was somewhat new to the family. Trent actually liked the sidelines, especially during a crisis. He's comfortable not being in a position to make decisions, and Mom seems fine with that. My sister Kay ran away once, Trent remarked, to San Diego. My mother sighed. Mally's 14. Kay was what, 20? Which means it wasn't technically running away. Plus she ended up marrying the guy, right? Still, we were worried sick. Trent, it's not the same, Mom said. Not even close. I closed my laptop and went to my room. Detective Trujillo had given me his business card, so I called him to ask if the police had turned up any new clues. A few false alarms, he said, but nothing solid. The interviews in Fort Walton Beach hadn't led anywhere. None of Talbot Chalk's friends or family members could imagine why a stranger would be using his name. His parents were pretty upset about it, Trujillo said. Lots of people were checking out the Facebook page that Uncle Dan and Sandy had set up, but so far the tips were totally random, dead-enders, just like the phone calls coming in about the billboards. "Don't give up hope, Richard," the detective said. "This case is still priority 1 for us." "Did they find the car at least?" 9 white Camrys have been stolen this month in the state of Florida, none of them in the Orlando area, but we're checking out every case. So basically, we don't know anything more than we did in the beginning. "In a way, no news is good news," said Trujillo. "Most runaway cases, the kids come home once the excitement wears off." "What if she can't come home? What if he won't let her?" "You said Mally was aware Talbot Chalk isn't this character's real name, right?" "That's what she told me," I said. "So it's possible she knows him better than we think she does. Maybe that's why she's not afraid." It was definitely something to hope for. "Maybe this whole thing was her idea," Trujillo said, "not his." "The fake name or the running away?" "Maybe both. If we only had her computer, we could find out who she's been emailing and trace his screen name." Unfortunately, Mally had taken her laptop with her. Ever since she'd gone missing, I checked my own emails about a dozen times a day. Her not texting or calling, that I could understand if she didn't want the cell phone tracked. Yet she could have safely emailed me, or even better, her parents, from anywhere on the planet. So why hadn't she? It wasn't something I chose to think about very long. "Hang tough," said Detective Trujillo. "Call me any time." When I came out of my room, Mom waved me into the kitchen where she was sitting with Trent. She told me she was going to Gainesville for a few days to see Kyle and Robbie, my brothers. They were both doing summer terms at the university, so they could take off during winter semester when the surfing was best. Kyle was majoring in business, and Robbie was in advertising. "I haven't seen the boys since May," my mother said. She'd been looking forward to the visit for a while, and I didn't expect her to cancel on account of the Mally situation. There was nothing more to be done. The rest was up to the police, or up to Mally. "You want to come along?" Mom asked. "A road trip, just you and me." Normally I would have said yes. I worry about her when she makes long drives alone, and besides, she's fun to travel with. Every 50 miles we switch out our iPods on the sound system. That way each of us gets to hear the music we like. Plus, it's the only time she lets me order drive-thru for lunch, when we're on the highway and she's in a hurry. At home, it's nothing but healthy food, organic everything, except for Trent's Mountain Dews and ice cream. This time, though, I couldn't go with her to Gainesville. My gut would have been churning the whole trip. What if Mally called needing something and I was the only one she trusted to help her? "I think I'll just stay home, just in case," I told my mother. "That okay?" "Of course. Trent will be here." He looked up and grinned. "We'll have some bro time, you and me." "Sorry, Mom." "I understand completely, Richard. There's nothing to be sorry about." "Idea number 1, Trent burbled. "Tomorrow, a.m., we go out to the club and hit a bucket or 2 of balls. Then we grab lunch on the veranda and watch all the old geezers triple bogey the 18th. The sad part? That was Trent's idea of a rockin' good time. Mom had bought me a set of secondhand clubs because she wanted me and Trent to bond. But golf is an impossible sport, and I don't enjoy much about it except watching the gators cruise the lakes. One day, I counted 5. After a while, I went along with the great golfing project and gave my stepfather credit. He was incredibly patient. The man really tried, but I was hopeless with the 7-iron in my hands. A menace, if you want the truth. I'd been hoping Trent would give up on me, but it hadn't happened yet. "Or we could do some fishing," I suggested, watching Trent's expression go blank. He wasn't a good fisherman, restless, noisy, uncoordinated. I knew he'd rather be strapped in a dentist's chair than stuck on a boat, trying to pinch a shrimp on a hook. When my father died, I'd inherited his 14-foot skiff. It was in almost new condition because Dad hardly ever used it. Now, a week didn't go by when I wasn't out on the river, sometimes with Mally or my friends, but more often alone. Dad's boat had a heavy fiberglass hull and a small motor, a 21-horse outboard, so I never went too fast or too far. Usually I brought home a couple of sea trout or a redfish, which Mom would grill for dinner. Trent loved to eat seafood, but he had no interest in the pursuit. "Cool, whatever," he said, for my mother's benefit. "Richard and me'll find something to keep us out of trouble." Mom went to pack and I took a walk, mainly for distraction. My cell phone, which for days had felt like a brick in my pocket, started making whale noises when I was halfway to the marina. I nearly tore a hole in my pants trying to get it out. The call was coming from a blocked number. Yo, Richard! Yo, Mal. Sup? The hand that was holding the phone was actually shaking. Pitiful. My other hand was fumbling in another pocket for the notebook and the pen that Detective Trujillo had given me. You okay? I asked. Way better than okay. I'm a totally happy camper. She laughed, but it sounded a little tight. I assumed that the bogus Talbot Chalk was sitting beside her, listening to every word. I said, where are you? You know I've got to ask. And you know I've got to say, none your business, mister. And why aren't you calling me from your own phone? Battery died, Richard. Don't be so paranoid. In the background, I heard a male voice say something about a drawbridge. A horn sounded twice, some type of boat. I also picked out the cries of terns and gulls. Seabirds, but that didn't automatically mean Mally was near the ocean. Gulls are like flying garbage rats. They love dumps and landfills. So you just don't think I'm a cold-hearted biatch, my cousin said. I spoke to Mom and Dad and let them know I was okay. When? You serious? A few minutes ago, right before I called you. They've been spazzing, which I totally understand. But I only did what I had to do, Richard. I couldn't make official contact until TC and I got to our destination. And you're there now. We are most definitely here. Oh my God, it's like a postcard. Is that good? Gee, I don't know. Is paradise good? It's freaking gorgeous, dude. Mally didn't even sound slightly mad at me. I should have been relieved, but instead I was worried. She acted like she didn't know the police were searching for her. Was it possible she hadn't heard about the Amber Alert? Only if she and her mystery friend had traveled to someplace remote where her face wasn't on highway billboards or the TV news. What did our parents say? What did your parents say? I was trying to keep her talking. What do you think they said? Come home, sweetie. We miss you so much. I only stayed on the line for a minute. Mom started bawling. Dad just kept asking where I was over and over. Do you have money? I asked. Oh, quit worrying. I had the notebook flipped open and I was trying to jot down everything she said. The phone was pinned between my ear and my shoulder. Mally, this is a really big deal. The Twig Academy was not happening. You know me better than that. At least tell me how old he is. What difference does it make if he's 16 or 60, she said. You should be happy for me. I'm happy as long as you're safe. When are you coming home? Hey, I'm moving forward, okay? I'm not thinking about home, school, past lives, whatever. I couldn't write half as fast as my cousin was talking. Mally, where'd he get the name Talbot Chalk? That's personal. I didn't press her on it because Detective Trujillo had told me not to say anything that might upset her and cause her to hang up. The longer she could stay on the call, he said, the more information I could get. You still in Florida? I asked. Mally started to respond, but the male voice in the car said something sharp that I couldn't make out. She told him to lighten up. Hey, yo, Richard, she said. I'm here. Thanks for not telling anybody when you found out I was gone. You're the coolest of the cool. My mouth went dry as sawdust. Saying nothing was the same as a lie, and I couldn't force it. Mal, I did tell someone, my mom, and she told your mom and dad. Another stiff laugh. I already know, dummy. That was just a test. You're welcome, by the way. For what? For me not blabbing to su madre about your little one-man crime spree in St. Augustine. Thanks. Does that mean you're not mad? No, girlfriend, I'm on island time. Nobody around here gets mad about anything. Cool, what island? Hey, stop it! She snapped at the other person in the car. Don't ever do that again. Stop what? I asked. Mally, are you all right? No reply. Mally? It's all good. Gotta go. Wait, I said. But the line was dead.